All right, so rational functions, how do we find the domain? What's not equal to 0? The denominator is not equal to 0. Good. And then we found our vertical asymptotes. And how did we find the vertical asymptotes? It was the uncanceled factors of the denominator equal to 0. But what happens to those canceled factors? They become wholes. So your wholes are your canceled factors of the denominator equal to 0. Together, the vertical asymptote and the wholes will make up the restrictions in the domain. Alright, so you're going to have your domain where x can't equal this list of numbers, right? Well then, some of them are going to be vertical asymptotes, some of them may be wholes. Together, that will make up that entire list. Now you have the opportunity we saw yesterday where they could all be vertical asymptotes, or they could be wholes. You may not have a vertical asymptote, okay? But when I put them together, every x cannot equal that I have in my domain should be an x equals in those two. So let's try an example. So f of x equals x plus 1 and x over x squared minus 1. So let's just go ahead and factor this. Let's see that denominator can factor, right? So we get x plus 1 over, what is x squared minus 1 when it factors?
X plus 1, x minus 1.
But don't cancel yet because we haven't done domain. And so from there, go ahead and do your domain. You tell me the denominator cannot equal 0. And we know to set those individually not equal to 0. We move the ones over by adding or subtracting. And we find what our x cannot be. And I'm kind of pushing on through this one because we did this in the previous examples, this domain here. And so we end up with, what was it, negative infinity to negative 1, negative 1 to positive 1, bless you.
Thank you.
And then 1 to infinity.
Are you going to come up with the input to use?
Probably not, but you need to from now on. All right, then we did our vertical asymptotes. We said those were the uncanceled factors. So I need to go back and see, does anything cancel? So go back up to the top. Does anything cancel there? The x plus 1's cancel. So I'm going to cancel it out, and I'm left with 1 over x minus 1. So what's my uncanceled factor in the denominator? The x minus 1, isn't it? So I'm going to solve for x, and I get x equals positive 1 is my vertical asymptote. But then we have to check for wholes. Wholes are your canceled factors of that denominator. Did anything cancel? The x plus 1 set it equal to 0. Move the 1 over. So we get a whole at x equals negative 1. Now a whole is going to be an ordered pair. So I know my x is negative 1. How do you find the y value if you know the x value?
Where'd you get the negative 1? I was writing down the VA.
Alright, say that again.
You're going to put your negative 1 into
Good. To solve for the y, you plug in the x. Now plug it into the reduced piece of this, okay? Because if you put it into the other, it's going to give you an undefined because it's not really there. It's a hole. So we're going to find our y by plugging it into the 1 over x minus 1. It's 1 over negative 1 minus 1 is 1 over, it's negative 1 minus 1. Negative 2. So you get a negative 1/2.